Welcome to the Beacon House Podcast, recorded live in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beacon House. It has been a minute. Happy 2024. We haven't officially spoken to you guys yet this year, and we hope it's going well. So far, a lot of crazy things have happened in 2024, and we are just now past Valentine's Day. So I don't know what that is to say for the rest of the year. It is an election year, so Jesus, hold on to your pants. But before we go any further, I would like to introduce my lovely co-host, Grace Steele. Say hi. How's it going?
Hey, Spencer. Hey, everyone.
It's good to see you again, dear. It's been a minute.
Yes, it was good to see your face today.
Yes.
I've had withdrawals.
Well, that's maybe the first time anybody's ever said that, but I'll take it.
And you haven't seen me yet since I cut all my hair off.
Yes, you've got your hair very short. It's very
short.
It looks very refreshing and good, yeah?
Yeah, it's the thing. Everyone's cutting their hair off this year. I did it because I needed to get all the dead off. I had like 6-7 inches of dead hair, so that's why. But
I beat you guys by like 6 years.
You wear it well.
Yeah,
The trend center.
I went really short a couple years ago. That totally. Well, dude, how do we even begin? 2024 so far, fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's the year of the dragon, which is I'm a dragon. Chinese in the Chinese
zodiac and everything.
So like their years, and I forget the exact term. But it's the year of the dragon. You know how they have like the year of the
rabbit,
the rat, and the ox, and all this. Well, today it's the year of the dragon. This year's the year of the dragon.
This is the year of the dragon. Ooh, man. It's been crazy. One of the most notable things, I'm sure everybody, if you live in Knoxville or in the Southeast at all, you may remember very recently we had a massive weather event, like the craziest snow that we've had in 30 years. Shut the whole town down for a day or two, and just everybody got stuck. And
it's the blizzard of 24.
Blizzard of 24. How did you fare through the blizzard?
Pretty well. Got a little stir crazy. Didn't work for the full week.
Yeah.
Which is bittersweet,
Yeah.
Probably by the midweek you're like, I need to get back to work. But it was nice. I went and saw Wicked. It was on Broadway. Yeah. And when I got out that Sunday, it just started snowing. So I went straight to Walmart first, and I went in there, and they had nothing.
Yeah,
like it was bare, like no milk, no cheese, no meat, no bread, no vegetable, nothing.
Yeah.
So then I got back in the car, and I drove to Food City by my house and went in there, and there was slim pickings. So I was able to get like a little bit of necessities, and I put a couple of recipes together, make it home. And I woke up, and it was a winter wonderland.
Yeah, indeed. Same. I actually worked for the first part of it. I work at a restaurant downtown, and I went to work Monday morning, and it was very, very obvious by noon or by 4 o'clock that I wasn't getting home that night. So, and also we were one of the only places that was open. So we were feeding like the hospitals, the first responders, like all. So
of course you were.
We didn't want to just close up. So we actually stayed in a hotel on campus for 2 nights and walked back and forth to the store, opened it up, fed everybody. And then when the people that live off of campus, off downtown started coming in, then we all got to go home. So I made it home and then got snowed in at the bottom. Like I got almost up my driveway, and that was it. I just got out and walked the rest of the way. And then I was snowed in at home for 2 days. And then everybody kind of got back. And then everything froze again on Sunday.
It would keep freezing over. It would melt and then freeze. My dog loved it. He's made for the snow, but once you got that ice layer over the snow, I think it was like midweek when it started doing that.
Yeah.
He was over it. We were stuck. We couldn't get out. My boyfriend was with me the whole time. I think he finally made it out by the end of the week. But then once he got home, he got stuck also on his driveway.
Yeah, it just wouldn't go away.
It wouldn't. So it was like a full week, but I thought it was beautiful.
And it was cold. It got below freezing for a long time.
It was like, I think -2 at one point.
Yeah.
12 degree. Yeah, it was very cold, but it was beautiful.
It was beautiful. I had the water running I didn't want to take any fucking chances.
No, because that's a nightmare.
Nightmare.
That's a nightmare to have that happen.
I could just feel the money evaporating out of my bank account, but I had 2 faucets, one at each end of the plate, just going.
Well, luckily my faucet in my bathtub just drips naturally.
So
I can never get it, so mine's already covered. But yeah, I remember getting my KUB bill this past week and be like, God, that is the highest. I was like, I feel like I didn't even turn it up that much, but I guess I did, and it was just running.
I'm going to tell everybody. I already told this story once today to my insurance agent. I'm going to tell a little. I will confess a story of stupidity. My girlfriend already knows this. I have the way my heater works is I have a heat pump, which is super, super efficient and very cost effective. And it stops you from having really high heat bills. I don't know exactly how a heat pump works, but I know that it's like a reverse air conditioner. And it kind of exchanges the heat and moves it around. Basically, though, it saves you a lot of money. But I thought, and there's a little button on the thermostat that says emergency heat. And you turn it on, like a little red light comes on, and it gets really hot in the house. And I was like, so I thought that's what you were supposed to turn on when it got down below, like, freezing. Like, the heat pump couldn't kind of keep up with it. And I've heard people say, oh, that never gets warm with my heat pump, whatever, like that. And I never just thought to turn up the thermostat more. Instead, so the minute that it went below freezing, and it was going to be below freezing, like, all week, I turned that button on, emergency heat, and it got warm in the house. And so that lasted for a while, and then I was kind of everything's like my sinuses started drying out, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? And finally, I Googled it, and I read about it, and they were like, no, you only turn that on if your heat pump breaks. And that's like electric heat, and it's so expensive. Like, it means only in an emergency do you turn this on. Otherwise, if you're cold, just turn the heat pump up more.
You never thought of adjusting the thermostat like you would normally?
Well, on mine, see, here's the weird thing about mine. On mine, where it says like 70, it really is like 65. So I have to kind of move mine until it feels right, and the number on the dial doesn't really do anything. It's not digital. It's super
You don't have
old.
like a thermostat that tells you what the temperature is in the home?
No, mine.
No?
Well, it's got like a little bar, but it doesn't really work. It's an old. I probably need a new digital thermostat. Anyway, so I went, this is at the end of the week. I went, wait a minute, turn the emergency heat off, just ran the dial, and it felt great. And I was like, oh boy, I've spent a lot of money I didn't have to spend. And sure enough, just like you said, when I got my heat bill, like, it was just like, fuck you. Like, I opened the package and just a big finger came out,
Yeah, that's how I felt with mine. I was like, it was like red. I was like, oh my God. I was like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah, I told my boyfriend, I said, no more touching the thermostat, because he likes to touch it. He likes to move it from when I keep it on, and he'll just be like, well, you're colder than I am, or you're warmer than or you're naturally warm, or however it is, sorry. Like, he wants it to be like 71 degrees, but I keep it on 68 and I'm fine. And he's just like, yeah, but your body temperature regulates fine with this. Mine doesn't. So he just like goes to my thermostat and just starts cranking it up. And I have to like put like baby safe wear on it, so like he can't touch it. Because he just comes over to my house and starts messing with my thermostat.
Yeah, dude.
I can't wait to do that to his.
I finally in snowpocalypse. Another thing I learned too. Like, my neighbor went out because the snow was so deep. My neighbor goes out to shovel the driveway because we share a driveway that goes down a little hill. And
I'm so glad I didn't have to shovel anything.
Well, I went out there and I was like, dude, can I help? Like, this is helping me out too. And he goes, well, do you have a snow shovel? I go, no. And he goes, why not? I've never needed one.
Yeah, who does? I mean,
I haven't needed one in 30 years. Like. So, I mean, I just never thought to buy one because the snow never gets that bad. Like, the driveway never gets impassable.
Why would you? Just like here, like, no one would have their driveway heated.
Yeah.
Like, up north, it's common for people who are well off to afford driveways who are heated, so that it's back and forth. Here, you don't need one. My car battery died. I had to go buy a new car battery, and those things are not cheap.
Yeah,
in the new cars, they're like $300.
Jesus Christ!
I know. And the guy wouldn't, and they advertise at AutoZone that they'll put a battery in your car for free.
Yeah.
As long as they don't have to like maneuver and take something out. Like if it's easy accessible, they will. He said no. He's like, not in the snow. We're not going to put it in for free. I had to find somewhere that would put it in.
Damn, bro.
I was so upset. So O'Reilly's Auto Parts got my back.
Dude,
because he did it.
I hear that O'Reilly's will help you out. I've heard a lot of good things about the O'Reilly versus like Advanced or AutoZone or whatever. Like,
so now I'll be going to O'Reilly's before I go. So when I need to buy like new windshield wipers or anything to do, I'm going to O'Reilly's.
Shout out O'Reilly's for helping out.
He got in the snow and put my battery in for me. I appreciate that.
Well, I had a friend that like came around a corner on a road that was perfectly fine. Came around the corner and where no sun had hit, and it was solid ice. So he went down a hill, slid off the road, went down a bank and into a creek. He didn't personally go underwater, but like about a third of his car did. And he had to climb the bank and come out and all this. And so it was a mess. It was there for days. Like they couldn't tow it out. They had to crane lift it out. And he had a rough time. But his insurance company was like, why don't we just total it out and then you can go get a new car? And he was like, nope, no thanks. It's paid for. It was like a 2008 Honda or something. He was like, nope, I'll just get it fixed.
Oh.
And he was like, I don't want to buy a new car. But the way interest rates are right now, to think like what you were saying, like everything's so expensive, like a battery replacement. He's like, nope, I'd rather have my 2008 fucking Honda.
Yeah.
Because I can afford it,
Yeah.
He was like, no thanks. Not interested in a new car.
Yeah. I have a friend who her husband sells cars, and he was like, those $300, $400 car payments that you know about, those aren't there anymore. Now they're $800, $900 for.
Damn, I never even had a $300. I'm like, dude, I remember being like, I refuse to pay more than $200 a month for a car. I'll do whatever it takes. Yeah. I'll go get a loan. I'll buy it straight out. Like,
I regret, I think it was like 3-4 years ago, I traded in my Altima, and I probably could have paid it off in like 3 more years. Yeah. But I wanted an SUV, like a smart SUV. I didn't want the car, and so I traded it in, and my car payment was a little less than $200. My car payment's over $200. Yeah. It's not as bad, but I remember. So now I'm just stuck with it because there's no way that I'm.
Your car is cool though. You've got a cool SUV. You know what, man?
I wish it was 4-wheel drive, or if it was all-wheel drive. It's not even all-wheel drive.
Yeah, I would have, dude. I never ever had the hankering to get an SUV ever. I know everybody started switching to them. I know that's the number one thing they sell. Like, dude, I drive through campus, and it's just literally most of the ones on campus are like a RAV4. Mm-hmm. There's just miles of them. It looks like you're driving through a car lot.
Or Jeeps.
I
feel like.
Jeeps, just any type, lots of different SUVs. But when I was in Kansas City, and I flew to Kansas City to hang out, which, by the way, we're going to talk about Kansas City today. I flew out there to hang out with my relatives, and the airport rented me a Nissan Rogue, which, shout out to Erin Ketron, my dear friend who now works for the airlines. She had a Rogue when she lived here, and I teased her about it. Mm-hmm. I said, you're driving a station wagon. I called it the grocery getter. I was like, do you have a soccer team in there? What are you doing? And
Caleb says the same thing.
Bro, I rented one in Kansas City, and it was the coolest fucking thing.
They're great.
It was amazing. It drove great. It was comfortable. It was big. It had so much room in it. I could put my whole family in there and drive them around, and then I could just imagine all the stuff I could store in it.
It has all the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
Mine's the sport. Mine's the SV, so it's the smaller version of the Rogue. It's not the huge. It's not the big full sized one. Yeah. So it has like the rack, and it's the sport version. But it was like big enough for me and to put all the dogs in. And like at the time, I had like kayaks and put all this stuff on top of the roof rack. But yeah, I've heard Rogues though are like it's always it's a woman's car.
I don't know, man, but I enjoyed the piss out of it. And I wasn't like, the minute I got in it, I was like, oh snap, I love this. Yeah. Like I got the vibe of like, it wasn't exactly, it got the same vibe I get when I drive my van. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But it was a lot better. Like it handled a lot better. And I was like, this drives just as good as my car. And it has all the advantages of my van, and you kind of sit up a little higher and it's nice, and I was like, so you're hearing it here. I think when I stop being a car / van guy, I go to just one vehicle, it'll be an SUV.
Yeah.
It's going to happen because it'll serve all the purposes. I can throw my amp in it, like still haul gear to the show, as long as whatever.
Yep.
It's the way.
That would be.
But, speaking of Kansas City, let me go ahead and do a shout out. I don't know how you feel about pro football. I don't know where you're at on the Super Bowl. I don't know. But my team has been the Chiefs for years now, ever since I visited Kansas City. And that's where my only extended family is living right now, is out in Kansas City. My cousins, and like they have a bunch of people. And Kansas City took me in like one of its own. And they were so cool, and they have the best barbecue. Sorry, Memphis.
I still got to try there. I got to try their barbecue.
Sorry, Memphis. Sorry, Texas. Sorry, wherever this place. And you've got somebody's like, well, this place in my neighborhood. No, sorry. I'm sorry. Eat shit. If you're not talking about Kansas City barbecue is fucking unbelievable. Also kind of the home, the namesake of my favorite TV show, Ted Lasso. That's a Kansas City origin show. There's a lot of magical things about Kansas City, but also the Chiefs are great. And my girlfriend and her daughter are super into like Taylor Swift. So the whole Taylor Swift crossover. Plus, I run a restaurant which is very busy on Super Bowl. And this year, because of the Taylor Swift aspect, like Taylor's on TV, she's flying to the Super Bowl to be with this guy.
She should have got a cut.
I mean,
she probably made so many people fans of the Chiefs that aren't even football fans, but they're just fans now because of Taylor.
Did you see them with the shirts that said like, I'm a friend of Taylor's boyfriend's football team? You know what I mean? It added a whole new dimension. I know a lot of people got sick of it.
Those Swifties.
A lot of people got sick of it, but I'm here to tell you the lobby of my restaurant on game day would be full of like 19 to 24-year-old girls that don't have any fucking idea who quarterback Patrick Mahomes is, and they were watching the Chiefs on TV because, by God, that's her boyfriend.
Because Taylor Swift
is in the box. Do you see the video of her chugging that beer?
Yeah.
Her and somebody else would drink. Anyway.
They kept going to it, and Blake
Lively was there. And his brother, Jason Kelsey, or Travis Kelsey. Wait, which one is she?
Is it Travis?
She's dating
Travis Kelce.
But Jason is his brother that played for the Eagles.
God, I can't believe I know. I'm not, just so everyone knows, I am not a Taylor Swift fan at all. I am just not. I think she's an amazing songwriter. She's a great musician. I'm just not a fan of her music, and I haven't been on the bandwagon. But if it got you to love the Chiefs, then I guess I'm all for it.
Yeah, and also I will say, if you're like, if you feel like you're empowered by her, like a lot of young women are today, like good for you, like good on you. I like most of her music. I don't like blare it down in my car every day going down the road, but she did do some stuff with Butch Walker, and like more power to her. I think she's a good role model for girls. But anyway, all that put together made the Super Bowl the most watched event in television history.
It was nuts.
And it made me a lot of money at the restaurant, and it made everybody happy.
And the Usher halftime show.
Spectacular. Her playing guitar, spectacular. All of it.
Yeah.
Was just
Alicia
great.
Keys.
And the game was so exciting right up to the end. There was a guy in the lobby with a Kansas City shirt on. And I mean, we were going crazy. In that overtime, I couldn't believe. And then sure enough, right at the end, fucking Chiefs won. I will give a shout out to, this is not, I don't mean to intertwine like sports outcomes with like funerals and stuff, but the day of the Chiefs game, I attended a funeral for a really good friend of mine named Steve Moore. Shout out to Steve Moore. If anybody remembers him, listen to this podcast. He worked for me for a little while. He's an older guy. He worked for me, and he's also the father-in-law of Adam at Awaken Church. So his dad-in-law died.
Okay.
And I went to the funeral literally right before work on the Super Bowl. And it turns out Steve was a Chiefs fan.
Oh.
And even during the ceremony, his son held up his Chiefs jersey that he had, and he said, Dad would want me to say, go Chiefs, you know. And I just thought then, like, well, they've got to win.
Yeah, they got to win.
And for a minute, it looked like they weren't going to. And I was like,
I did not.
Steve.
The first half, I was just biting my lip. The kickers really are the ones who I feel like game. I mean, without the kickers, it just wouldn't
so
have.
Good. Those kickers, both teams look great.
They played amazing. I mean, it was just, but when the Chiefs came out in that second half, it was like they were ready. It looked like then they were like, okay, we're ready to play.
Like that guy really did look like I mean, everybody talks about Tom Brady, and is this guy going to catch up to Tom Brady in terms of greatness? I don't really know, but tell you what, man, in that last drive, I've never seen a quarterback look better than that. Like, he looked pretty fucking good.
About going, yeah.
Just
they
smart.
were great. The whole thing, just getting the clock was running out. They were on their
So
stuff.
close.
Throwing the ball, just keep going.
I went
Ah.
and put my Kansas City like mittens on from my bag.
Yeah.
Just like, come on, you guys, And I sent my family out there a picture of the guy in the lobby and stuff. But then, so the Chiefs won, and then a terrible thing happened at the celebratory parade. There was a shooting. Mm-hmm. And you've got news about other shootings. So the only thing I know about the shooting is like apparently a fight broke out between some youths, I guess, and they opened fire in the crowd. Several people were injured, and one lady was killed. And I do know that the lady who was injured, or the lady who died, was the sister of one of my cousin's clients. And she works for a dentistry place out in Kansas City. So, even then, and my girlfriend has her daughter, Raven, lives in Kansas City with her gorgeous little girl, Ilya, my girlfriend's granddaughter.
Well, her name was Elizabeth Galvin, and she was 43 years old, and she was a DJ radio host.
That's right. I heard she was a DJ. So she was there at the event. Like,
Yeah. And it was, I didn't know that it was teenagers.
Yeah.
Teenagers. A bunch of guns were recovered. Just,
so sad, so senseless.
Yeah, so senseless. So many lives taken. Their lives are ruined.
And a black stain on like what could have been a really legendary,
a
great thing for the city and a great thing for the team. Like, it could have just been all good feelings.
It's just a stain.
Now
like
it's a stain.
Like it's a big thing. So many were injured. Children were injured. So many.
And you had news of another shooting, didn't you, in Texas?
Yeah, so it was at the Lakewood Church, Joel Osteen's, the mega church down in Texas and in Houston. So 2 people were shot and killed. One was a child who was shot in the head, and then another was a man who was shot in the leg. And then an off-duty officers were killed the shooter when she pointed her gun at them. So basically, she was like doing suicide, like and so, but they still haven't, from what I understand, have a motive to why she chose that church. But she did have Palestine engraved in her weapon.
So maybe it was like a reaction to the Palestine-Israel thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wasn't sure because like her family members didn't go to this particular church, so they're not 100%. They're still trying to find a motive.
I know Joel Osteen is. If somebody wanted to do like a big anti-Christian, terrorist event, or something, he's a pretty good target.
Right.
Because he's so widely, and I'm not a fan of the guy, or whatever, but I know that his name is pretty widely recognized, and that's probably a huge church. And if somebody wanted to
that would be, there's a lot of people who attend these mega churches, and if that was the case, but they still don't have a motive to why, because she didn't have family members who went to this one. This was kind of like, maybe they're still putting it together. Yeah. So that was sad. But then there's the shooting, the police officer.
Yeah. So the way I found out about this is the local one. I know everybody knows about this. If you're in Knoxville or around Knoxville, I know you're aware of this one. So I was at my girlfriend's house in Maryville. She lives in Maryville one night, and her daughter messaged her and said, "Hey, Mom, there's a shooter on the loose. Like a cop has been killed, and the shooter's on the loose in your zip code. Like, be careful." And we kind of looked at it and we were sort of like, "Oh, that's weird. Like, what happened?" And we sort of, we started watching the news, and like the guy had gotten pulled over for tinted windows and then resisted arrest or something. It escalated, shot the police officer, and then fled. And then nobody could find him for several days, and it escalated into like national news. And
yeah, it was all over. It was like it was a massive manhunt. They were doing searches.
There was a bounty, like a huge, over $100,000 bounty,
huge
partially
bounty.
contributed to by Smith & Wesson.
Yeah, Knox County matched Blount counties because he killed one officer and then wounded the female officer. When she didn't have life-threatening, but she had serious. And I'm still not 100% sure why he was resisting arrest, what kind of warrants he had or what was the deal. But they also arrested his brother and his brother's girlfriend.
Right.
For accessory after the fact. And I wasn't 100% sure how that happened.
I heard that they went to the girlfriend's house or apartment or whatever, And while they were there questioning her, he called her on the phone. And they were like, what? You're in touch with him? And they arrested her like that. That's just what I heard. I also heard that a coworker of mine knows the guy.
Yeah.
And his daughter played softball with this guy's daughter or something like that. So like a coworker of mine's like, yeah, that guy Kenny, I know him really well. He's a real thug. I was like, what? You know this guy?
Yeah, he's apparently like known around Blount County and in the Maryville area. But I was getting my nails done with my mom on Tuesday, and the news came up, and it said, 100K reward, still looking for him. If you have any information, blah blah blah, all this. And my mom looks at me and she goes, "I bet he's in Canada by now, or he's, far away." And I looked at her and I said, "Nope. He's probably right here. He's probably very local, probably maybe a couple counties away if he's not still in the same county."
And I would have sided with your mom. Like I would have said, "Oh, there's no way anybody with that much money out for them. Everybody's going to be looking for them." I can only imagine somebody like that would go straight to Mexico or Canada.
Yeah, or at least as far away as possible.
Fucking far. But you were right. He stayed here.
Yeah, because if you think like.
Now, I did hear he tried to go to Georgia, and then it was rough, and he came back.
Tried. I think he tried going. They claimed that he was going to be in Tampa, too. It was like all these things. But if you think about it, when you're on a manhunt and you've shot an officer, or definitely an officer, now you have you got TBI, you got state troopers, you got FBI, you have all these law enforcements on you, and being aware of you, it's really hard for you to get out of that county or just even out of that state.
Yeah.
Because unless you have a plan already set in place, and I'm sure he didn't know he was doing this, you can't just go to anyone's house. You can't trust everybody. You don't have money. You can't go to the bank and withdraw money. You can't be on your phone calling people for help.
Yeah.
So you're really most of the time, these fugitives are close by because they can't get out. They can't rent a car. They don't have a car. It's not accessible. Who can they call to trust, or whose house can they show up to that's not being watched?
The car they're in has the license plate that's already been profiled.
Exactly. They don't have money accessible. So I knew,
because you think it's going to be like in the movies. You think in the movies, like you just go you ditch the car, go steal another car.
Got a new passport.
And you drive through a weird town that doesn't have any cameras, and you're just out in the desert, kind of doing your thing, staying off the radar. You think that it would be easy. But I guess in reality, fuck that.
No, he was stuck. He had very minimal choices, people who he could probably go to. So I knew he was probably close by. I didn't think he would be in East Knoxville. I thought he would probably be in another county.
Is that where they got him? Was East Knoxville?
They got him off Linden Avenue.
Damn, I hear that you can watch the video, his arrest video.
Yeah, there was a pop, and you see him coming out of a back door in a backyard off Linden Avenue in East Knoxville. They surround him. Yeah, you don't really have people to go to.
Yeah. Well, the more the money gets, the higher the money gets, even the ones you thought you could trust.
Yeah, you can't go and, yeah, exactly.
Now they're going to be I could use $100,000 more than I could use this guy's friendship,
Yeah, or even your brother.
Yeah.
You have no idea who would turn on you. And you can't just go into you can't even go into a gas station.
Because cameras.
Can't do anything. Cameras, people who, your face has been plastered everywhere. You killed a police officer. You're not going to be able to hide.
And they made a big deal out of it. They had a huge funeral at Sevier Heights Church. I think closed down Alcohol Highway for a whole day. It was a lot.
Yeah.
Which kudos to them for honoring the fallen officer. But weren't you saying there's another shooting that happened that didn't get a big deal made out of it? And
there was a shooting in Knoxville just recently. I forget. I think it was on McCalla Avenue. I'm not 100% sure what happened, but there was a victim who was shot and pronounced dead at the scene, and no one's doing anything about it. No one's talking about it. No one's putting it out there and putting it. And so it makes people think okay, so an officer's death, which I'm not saying it's not important, but it's going to be more important than another victim's death. You're going to do all this to find this one man. Yeah. And make him so dangerous to where you're going to hunt him down. But what about this innocent victim who was shot?
Yeah, where's the
manhunt? Where's the manpower that you
for
put?
That guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
so
agree.
that's another thing. I have a friend who's been missing for 3 years, and no one is doing anything about it. The police isn't thought like it's just like a missing, like he's not even pronounced dead, like nothing. He's just a missing person report in the back file of Anderson County's police department. And no one's doing anything about it. There's no new evidence. No one's going out there and like searching. And so the family is still like, they were a little angered by this manhunt. They were like, yes, find the person who killed this officer. Like, this officer probably had a family, but what about my brother?
Yeah.
Like, where's the manpower and the resources to find what happened to him? He was obviously an abduction because his phone and one flip-flop was found in his front yard. He was on the phone talking to a friend or a relative. He said, hold on a second. Next thing you know, his phone and one flip-flop's just in the front yard, and he's gone. And no one has any idea where he is.
And I guess if you're in that situation, it's hard to watch them, everybody give their attention to like one thing. And again, not downplaying what happened to the officer, but it's just like, how do you decide which one is important? Obviously, with the officer, they were trying to make an example. I get that. I get that they were trying to send an example to potential future homicides. Like, don't even think about shooting a cop. Like, don't even think of it, because look what happened to this guy. Like, you're not going to get away. I get that they were sending a message.
Yeah,
I get that, and I hope that it keeps police safe for a really long time to come. But yeah, it's like, what do you do? I don't have an answer. It's just like the gun thing. I don't have an answer. I'm very pro gun. I'm very pro Second Amendment. I'm very I don't particularly own a gun. I have like an antique rifle that I inherited, but I don't have a carry permit. Unless you're trying to rob me today, and then I have so many guns in my pocket right now.
We got an AK-47, man.
I've got a fucking bazooka in my trunk if you're about to roll up on me. But if you just listen to the podcast, I don't actually own a gun. But I'm so pro-gun, and I do believe that if people are less easy to rob and attack, that less people get robbed and attacked. But at some point, like this person who was shot on McCall Avenue. Like, if your argument is, well, if that person had a gun, then they would have been protected. They could have pulled their gun out, and two people now have their gun out, and they're pointing it at each other. And then all of a sudden, it just becomes whoever's the fastest gets to live, either the criminal or the citizen. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, at what point are we just back in the Wild West, where everybody has a fucking gun, and the fastest one gets to walk away? And like,
where if you say something to me and I say something to you, we can step outside and do a draw.
Boom, boom. Yeah, like
that's the law.
Yeah, and I don't think that outlawing guns or taking guns away because the criminals are still going to have them. That's just never been an option. Like, I'm sorry if yes, stricter gun laws, yes. Gun control, yes. Higher security, yes. Security at schools, yes. Yes to anything that makes us safer, yes. But anything that makes us like less free, gives us less options, but keeps giving the criminal or the bad guy all the options, that's not a good idea. But where does it all go? You know what I mean? Like, why? How do you get people to stop fucking shooting each other? The one thing that people point to often, and I believe you've brought this up before, a lot of people brought this up, is the crisis on mental health.
Yeah, background checks.
Looking at why people shoot each other. You know what I mean?
Doing behavior assessments.
Just something.
Psych tests. But the thing is a lot of like the teenagers and school shooting, like they're getting their guns from their parents. Like they're going to take their parents' gun.
Bringing it to school.
Yeah, and you can buy it. So, I mean, how do you get past that?
Yeah, and how do you tell normal citizens you can't have a gun in your home? Like, they're all going to go, yeah, but the guy coming through the window at 2:00 in the morning, he has a gun. So if I want to protect my daughter, my wife, and whatever, like,
then I need a gun.
I need a gun.
Yeah.
And I need it in the fucking nightstand. I don't need it in a gun safe. Like, I need to be able to protect my family. Well, that's legit. That's valid.
And it's a right. I feel like that's important.
But then when the kid gets the gun and takes it to school, and like, I mean, it's just, where does it end? You know, like, when does somebody, like, at the Kansas City thing, like, when does an argument between teenagers, at what point do they realize, like, this is not worth pulling a gun out over? Like, what did you say to me? And then a gun comes out, and another gun comes out. And now a lady's dead.
Well, what do you think about felons who can't own a gun at all? Like, and that's not even like violent criminals. Like, people who have 3 DUIs is automatically a felony. You're automatically a felon for having 3 DUIs, or you've had, a theft charge and you're a felon for it, or a drug charge.
I don't know, man. I think if people are I think there should be a line. Like if somebody has a history of like violent crime, they probably shouldn't be allowed to own a gun.
Right.
But if somebody has like you said, like a DUI or something like that, and like they go through the process and they do the time and they atone for it, and then they get to reenter society.
Like 10 years later.
Or whatever. They're not on probation or, whatever like that. I think they should have the same rights to a firearm as anybody.
Because they can't vote. Because that's the thing. Think about the percentage of felons that make up in the United States, and they don't have a right to vote.
I tell you what, I know some pretty. Well, I don't mean this to sound any type of way, but I'm gonna say what I say here. I know some people that don't have felonies. They should definitely not be voting. I know some people of what we were going to say poor judgment. I know some people that are fucking stupid and they have bad opinions. And like, I'm not going to name any names, but like, I think we all probably know that guy.
Yeah.
And,
or girl.
Or girl, whoever that just says those things and does that stuff that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Or who's, and no offense to those, or who's just a fan because someone else is a fan.
Yep. That person and those people get to go to the voting booth and buy a gun.
Yeah.
And I'd much rather have like a felon, somebody that's seen the error of their ways and they're back on the right track again and they're not a fucking idiot. Like I'd much rather have them owning a gun and voting than, but how do you, that's the thing is, how do you draw the line? How do you weed out the stupid?
Exactly.
I guess we've probably talked about this before, but like anytime I get in this conversation, it always seems like it comes back to, you just got to be good at taking care of yourself.
Yeah. It's just back around, just making sure that you're not the problem.
Yeah.
You're not that
walk
chink
away,
in that chain.
Don't let a fight escalate. Don't let an argument escalate. Don't let anything become physical, for God's sake. Like
I mean, those teenagers that over an argument, they injured all those just lives are ruined over poor choices, and it's a split moment. Like the kids that were drag racing last year on Magnolia.
Yeah.
They were 19 years old. They probably should have not had these cars. I don't know.
Yeah.
These cars should have never been in their name. Should have not been behind the wheel of these cars in daylight at the hour that school is letting out.
Yeah.
And they kill a whole family.
Dude, I'm probably not going to explain this very well, but I recently got to have a lunch or a dinner with a really good friend of mine. Shout out Alea Miller. I think maybe she's been on the podcast. If not, she's been podcast adjacent, but she's been like my right hand for a solid decade, just about. But she was talking about people that just get in fights in public, and people that are just impulsive and angry, and she's got a background in not child psychology, but she's like clinical social work, and so she had to learn a lot and she said basically when you're a baby, again, forgive me for explaining this poorly, when you're a baby, like one of the very first emotions you feel is fear and anger. Like a baby's only defense mechanism is that it just screams until somebody comes along and takes care of it. Mm-hmm. It can't get up, it can't fight, it can't run, but it can just cry until somebody picks it up, and that's its move. Until it's like 14, it just asks for help. As a species, we're really weird, but early on in life, you learn to deal with your fear, and one of the easiest boxes to put it in is anger. Mm-hmm. And if people don't learn eventually other places to put it, like reflection or, just self-control, or, they learn those places to put anger or to put fear, it just stays in the anger box and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And that turns into how they solve all their problems. Yeah. They just get mad. Like if something goes wrong at the restaurant, they just chew the server out, make a big scene. In their relationship, if things don't work right, they just start a huge fight. Like they just can't be reasoned with. Right. Those type of people. And you know some of them. We all know some of them. But she said basically that's a developmental thing. Like it comes from never learning how to deal with your problems like an adult. And that's why the gun comes out at the rally. That's why you know what I mean? All that crazy stuff. That's why the fight breaks out at the bar. Or whatever, all that, because those people just haven't learned how to handle what they're feeling. Yeah. And it just results.
And it just comes out impulsively without thinking.
Yes.
Without slowing down and taking that 2 seconds. I mean, I used to be very, very impulsive, and I'd make very poor decisions, and my judgment calls were way off. Alcohol definitely does not help at all. Alcohol was the worst.
Alcohol makes you feel like whatever you're feeling is a good idea.
Yeah, it's you're right in feeling it.
If you start getting mad, or if you start to get really if you're really eyeing somebody, you're about to hit on them, or if you're about to say some dumb shit,
gives you courage.
It tells you, yeah, you should do that.
Yeah, do that.
Do that.
It's okay to do that. You're right. Do that. You're right. It's no longer good and evil on your shoulders. It's just straight evil, like on both sides. That's what it is. And they're both telling you, do it. Do it. You're right. That moron is stupid. He doesn't know what he's talking about. That whole thing. So, I mean, and it took me years to reprogram my brain to know to think. Especially in relationships, like when you used to fight and you just you go back and forth when someone pushes you a beat, walk away. Yeah. I've learned walking away is like the number one thing that will help.
Yes.
And the whole thing. But it's just a tragedy.
And also the idea that something somebody else does can now again, I'm not talking about if you're being attacked. If you're being attacked, by all means, be safe and get help. But I mean, if somebody's behavior is irritating you, you got to get over the idea that can hurt you in any way. That's not going to affect you. You can walk away. You can change your opinion. You can take a breather. You can go have a nap. Whatever. You don't have to go. You don't have to start a fight over it. You know what I mean? That's the thing. But you're totally right. And alcohol makes that way worse. Do that. That's a good idea.
Yes.
That girl would love for you to come talk to her, even though she's with her friends and obviously has a wedding ring.
Your girlfriend won't know.
Yeah.
Your girlfriend has no idea where you are right now. You can go talk to that girl.
Go do that thing. Yeah.
Or that guy pissed you off.
That guy's
go
looking
say something.
at me.
Go say something. Say something. You have that baseball bat in your car. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just this stupid. And it's a tragedy of what's happened already. We're not even 2 full months in and we're already at a tragic beginning. But Valentine's Day was nice.
Oh, it wasn't. I had a nice one. It was nice to bring that one back around.
I'm not a Valentine's Day fan. I don't like Valentine's Day. I think it's overrated. I think it's something where it's forced upon.
It's commercialized.
It's very commercialized where someone tells you have to do these things.
Yes.
I bet a lot of fights happen because the man or the woman doesn't remember and do enough.
Yes.
On Valentine, you didn't give me flowers, but my coworker got flowers.
I have a famous story that I tell where one year I was single, and a lot of years I've been single, but one of the years that I was single, I walked into a bank and I was filling out a deposit slip or whatever, and they were all female tellers. And I looked up real quick and went, "Hey, does anybody know what the date is?" And it was on Valentine's Day, and they all stopped and gasped. All these girls went, you monster or you pathetic turd that can't get a girlfriend. Either one way or the other. I was very violently judged, and I was like, why because it's Valentine's? Really? You guys? And then but I kind of, that stuck with me. So now that I know, and to my girlfriend's credit, I got to tell her, I approached her about it as with the weeks coming up, and I go, so hey, and she was like, look, I don't really care that much about it. I'm not a big fan of Valentine's Day. It doesn't have to be anything. But now I know enough to know that even when a girl says that, it means you better fucking do something. Guys, take note.
Make them be sweet.
When a girl says, I don't want anything for Christmas. I don't want anything for my birthday. I don't want anything for Valentine's Day. Don't believe it. Don't you fucking fall.
You better. At least a phone call, something.
A card. And you know what I found out too, man? And I'm not talking particularly about my girlfriend, but just a lot of women in general. Because I have a lot of friends that are girls. And they're all spectacular, and I really, really always want them to feel good about. I'm really big on, especially the older I get. I just want to tell them all the time that they're great.
You are. You're amazing. You're a great friend. You're a great guy. You're a great man. You really are.
That's a lot to live up to, but coming from you, I'll take that. Man, I just want everybody to feel good, and I tell my friend girls all the time, you're really great. Sometimes they don't get that from the guy. I was like, it's okay, and men are weird, and just give us a chance, But I have, for guys, if you're listening, if I found out from guys that some of the real traditional stuff is good enough. If you can't think of a big elaborate, Valentine's Day crazy thing, a card, like some candy, like flowers, that stuff is timeless.
Yeah, just the thought of it is.
Yeah.
So like I know what you did for your girlfriend, and then you're so sweet. And
it was small. Like
we have friends that we know who went beyond,
above and beyond,
which is great because people have different love languages. My relationship, I don't like Valentine's Day. I never celebrated. I've had a few Valentine's Day that have been horrific.
That's the same. Same with my girlfriend. Like she's like,
I am not a fan. Like if it's Valentine's, you should be doing. Instead of being told to do something on a specific day, I want you to just do it on another day.
To be good all the time.
Yeah. So I mean, my boyfriend is not sentimental in any type of way.
A lot of men are not.
He doesn't think to call me on my birthday in the morning. He now knows that he better call at 12:01 or be with me so he can be the first person. He now knows. But he told me Happy Valentine's Day. I didn't have to like force it out of him. He did the little switcheroo where he told me we're going to eat at one place, and I was a little disappointed, but at least he tried because we did have plans that kind of switched. We were going to do Valentine's Day on Thursday, but it ended up that Wednesday, actual Valentine's Day, was going to be better.
Yeah.
So he tried to find a place, and he had known that I've been wanting to go to this restaurant, which isn't particularly a nice restaurant. It's an okay steakhouse, but I've been wanting to go for several months. And so we pulled
the heart
in.
wants what it wants.
Yeah, and we pulled in. We didn't go to the one restaurant. We were pulling in the parking lot, and I just look at him, and he was like, "You've been wanting to go here, so we're here." And so we had a great night. We had great conversation. We've been watching True Detective. We watched True Detective. I fell asleep.
The new one? Is it the new one? Or?
Yep. We've been watching that. I just finished The Wire. I don't know if you've ever seen The Wire.
I've not seen The Wire.
On HBO. So it was made in 2002.
Okay.
And it's 5 seasons.
Heard of it.
Hands down, one of the best fucking shows. Like, I'd say it rivals The Sopranos.
Damn.
It is so fucking good. I binge watched that. I finished the 5 season. I think I finished it in like 4 days.
My girlfriend's been binge watching Grey's Anatomy. And
really?
So I've gone back and watched a few of those, and they're pretty intense. She was a fan of ER back in the day, like I was. So this is like for her.
I remember ER.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, dude. And I mean, and credit where credit's due. And I'm not trying to like, if anybody didn't have a Valentine this year, or like I made a post on Valentine's Day that I really, really meant, and I wanted everybody to read it. I think I posted it on Facebook or maybe Instagram, but I just said, look, like Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. And I shared a video of Brandon Hudson singing.
I saw it, yeah.
And because what could be better? And I just said, look, I hope anybody sees this, realizes that you are very deserving of all the love. Mm-hmm. And you got to believe that. Even if you're not getting it, you got to believe that you deserve it. And just a reminder that the most important love starts inside.
Yeah.
Like it comes from you. Like you've got to first learn to like forgive and love yourself. Like that comes before external affection always.
You could still go buy yourself a box of chocolate. It's 50% off at Walgreens. I was there yesterday getting Reese cups and Nerds. So just so anyone knows, if you didn't get any chocolate, all that Valentine's stuff is on sale. The thing is it just comes around, and it's a day that is my boyfriend feels like it's a day that he doesn't like doing it on Valentine's Day because he feels like he's forced.
Yeah.
He doesn't like to be told what to do and what not to do, and he feels like it's a holiday that tells him he has to do it.
And it is.
And he's like, I don't like it. He goes, let me do it on my own terms.
Yeah.
And he does. He does little things throughout the year that let me know that are worthy.
And I think that's okay to feel. And it very much is. Like Valentine's Day puts a target on men. Now, I'm sorry to say that. I don't mean to misgender the holiday or whatever. But listen, like let's be realistic. If you're a guy and Valentine's Day is rolling around, you've got a fucking target on your back. Like you better fucking do something. And that's just the way it is. Would like it or hate it. So even if it's something little, like your guy did, he took you to the place you wanted to eat. Like I coughed up some gifts for my girlfriend and like we figured it out. And she gave me some really sweet stuff too. Hers was a lot more, obviously more well thought out.
Yeah.
Hers was sweeter and more sentimental, but it was like, we had a nice little time. We didn't spend a ton of money.
Yeah.
We just stayed in. Like we celebrated the day after because we both had to work.
I just like being with him. That's what I love the most, is just being with him and doing things that we love. We both work really hard and we work long hours, and we're just tired, so we don't have a lot of decompressing time.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times we decompress together.
Yeah,
which is just watching our favorite shows, cooking, getting DoorDash, walking the dog, just simple things.
You literally described like the Valentine's Day we celebrated. The day after, like we stayed in, we were watching a show, or I think we watched a movie. We got DoorDash, we cuddled. You know what I mean? It was just simple and good.
It was the best sleep of my life. Not because we did anything or...
Sure.
No, there wasn't any love making, any like, ooh, like none of that. Ooh. It was just like good cuddles, good smells, comfy.
Yeah.
Good sleep.
The real shit.
Yeah. Like the stuff that fucking matters.
Yeah.
Not the other shit's just, sprinkle on the top. And once that shit wears off, what do you have? And
man, I thought, and we've talked a lot about the holidays and different holidays. What do you do? Like I think we had a really good, this last like Thanksgiving and Christmas, we talked about like the meaning of, we talk about that a lot. And the older I get, I learn how to like do the holidays right. You know what I mean? And not necessarily like the commercialized version. But this Valentine's Day, I really just wanted, I find myself that day just trying to tell a lot of people how great they were. You know what I mean?
You are so fucking sweet.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh my God. Babs.
Hey,
you got a good one.
You heard it, honey.
You got you a good one. You better lock him up and throw away that key.
She's doing a pretty good job. I
can tell.
She's got me pretty good. But yeah, dude, I just thought like instead of just showing people like how much money you can spend on them or doing some extravagant thing and kind of putting that in the face of all your friends that are struggling with their relationship or whatever, whatever. I just thought like I want to make sure my girlfriend knows she's appreciated and she's important and I love her, but also like to just the people I'm working with, like just let them know like, hey, by the way, you're great. Like, the guy, and again, we'll probably wrap this up on this note. When I was going back to the funeral of Steve Moore, I heard a lot of things at that service that I kind of learned a lot at that service. But they mentioned something that Steve would do to a lot of people. And Steve was one of these, if you think I'm great, Jesus Christ, you should have met this freaking guy. I mean, he just made everyone feel like they had won the lottery all the time. The nicest, sweetest, low key, like real cool, no drama, just chill. Like it's the kind of guy I'm trying to be. Like I'm like 10% of that kind of a guy. If anybody thinks I'm okay or they like me or what, like I'm really trying to be that kind of a dude. And my uncle was like that. My dad was like that. Like those are my male role models. But Steve Moore was like that. And he was just so cool and so nice and so loving. He was a hugger. He just gave and gave and gave. Aww. And but they mentioned this at the funeral. Steve would come up to somebody and he'd like put his arm around him and he would just tell people sincerely, he would say like, you're really great, or like, you're just wonderful. And then he would say, do you know that? And he would look him right in the eye and just give him like, you're great. Do you know that? And he did that a lot. And they said that at the funeral a lot. Said Steve would want to know that he really appreciates, he would want you to know he appreciates you all being here. Do you know that? And everybody kind of laughed. But I thought about that. And a couple days after Super Bowl, a couple days after the funeral, I found myself telling people, you know what I mean? Like, hey, by the way, happy Valentine's Day. You're really great. Do you know that? And it kind of gives them a little thing. So again, I think if any of our listeners get a takeaway out of that, and also you, Grace Steele, very much, like I kind of want all you guys to know that you're really, really wonderful and you deserve all the love. No matter what anybody tells you, you fucking do. No matter who made you feel bad, they're wrong. You deserve the world on a cracker. And you're spectacular. And look at yourself in the mirror and ask, do you know that?
Aw, jeez.
And on that note, I think we're going to wrap up here. Beacon House will be, God knows when we'll be back. We've had a hard time getting together. Hopefully very soon. We've actually got a plan.
We do
have a plan for a new episode in the can coming up soon. So let's make it a point to get back together sooner rather than later. And we hope everybody had a good Valentine's Day, had a good New Year. I hope you enjoyed the Super Bowl, all the stuff. And God forbid, like we hope the shootings and stuff calm down and that there seems hopefully some, I don't know, rationale or logical creep back into our lives a little bit,
Just enjoy the little things. The daffodils are blooming.
Oh, spring's coming.
Daffodils are blooming. They're coming. Spring will be here sooner than we know it.
Well, and we'll be here to talk about it with you guys and everything. So take care of each other and yourselves, and signing out from Beacon House. Oh my.